Hey everyone, sorry, it's Professor Lushine. This is a short review video and some tips in order to complete this week's writing assignment. I was trying to get cute. I was going to do some music, but it didn't work. I got a few announcements. I'm going to talk about performance, a little bit about the quiz, and then I'll get into giving you some tips on what to do this week. First, make sure you guys are going into the grade book each week. I do all the grading Monday morning, so by Monday at noon, you should be able to look in there, see if you missed an assignment. I try to provide notes or feedback for those that need it. If you get the score of 8 or better, I probably won't say anything, but make sure you go back and see if you've missed anything. If you've missed any quizzes, it's really hurting your grade right now. Maybe you're not worried about it or concerned, but reach out to me if you want to see if there's a way you can make up some of those points. Also, we've had quite a few absences as of late, especially last week. It's a bit concerning. I want to make sure that you guys are realizing coming to lecture is very, very important for this class. Here's a breakdown of I did week 6 and then a 6-week average. So I took each individual's scores for each week and averaged them. So as you can see, the overall average for grade is about an 80.5, but we have a few students who are scoring in the F range, unfortunately. And that's driving that down a little bit. So the median and the average are pretty close together. These can definitely come up. We've got quite a few missing assignments, and I think some of the lower scores are because students aren't attending. One thing I wanted to point out is that by this week, usually my statistics start kicking in, and there is a significant Pearson correlation between the time and touches, so the average per week, and the score. So the students that are putting in the time and they're looking at the things online appear to be doing a lot better. And of course, absences can kind of get in the way sometimes, but for the most part, it's still showing that the students who are doing the work are doing better. If you want to do better, come to class, get on there, read the thing, spend some time. That will definitely improve. But reaching out to me right now if you missed anything is the most important. Next is quiz 6 scores were very low. Lower than all 3 sections I had last semester. And I think it has a lot to do with you all not taking my advice. Y'all? The hell? Am I from Georgia? That people weren't taking my advice to go onto the BLS website and look around. And so you opened it for the first time and you fumbled through it. The average was 65. That's very low for us. Usually we're up in the 80s. The average time was 20 minutes, so there was 10 minutes to spare. It was 30 minutes to take the whole thing. I did look at some individual scores to see if there's any way I could provide extra points, but it looks like some people just flew through it and guessed. Others just made a few errors here or there. And so want to go back. So here is the home page or the front page for the injury, illness, and fatality on the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We primarily use the Sawyer report. I didn't really delve into fatalities that much. Over on the right is kind of a highlight, and you can see right here, here's 2 answers to the quiz. The 2.7 million for private industry, number of injury cases, and then the median days away from work was 12. It's right there. But you had to look a little bit further, such as click on the Survey of Occupational Illness. In the news release, there's more information. In the interactive charts, you could get some additional insight. And then the incidence rates, table 1, that's what I've been pulling things from this whole time. I've been opening it up in class, and you guys have been reading from it. Here is a copy of the actual the news release or report. 2.7 million. The reported cases quadrupled for illness. That was another question from the quiz. Here's the table 1, the incidence rates broken down by industry and case, type of case. You can see here all industries, private, state, and local. The total recordable case, or the TCIR, is 2.9. The DART is 1.8. Both of those, I think, were on the quiz. So here's a question here. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, what is the highest total case incidence rate for 2020? Now, prototypically, it's always been agriculture, forestry, and fishing. But because of the pandemic, healthcare, social assistance exceeded it. And I've got the chart over here on the right. And it's not by a lot. You can see here, they're at about a 5.5, whereas the forestry, fishing, agriculture, they're like a 4.6 or something. So it jumped up because of the illness cases that were quadruple. They were primarily within the healthcare and social assistance NAICS code. Down here, how many? 2.7. I showed it here in the report. It was also on the front page. You guys had some difficulties interpreting this. We had done it in class, and I thought everybody had a pretty good grasp of it. And I didn't have you do any calculations. It was just purely looking up numbers and judging it. So I gave you the company information, and I asked you to look up their industry peer, because I gave you the NAICS code. So here, the company's DART is above their peers. Their recording practices are worse than their peers. The company's doing worse. I tried to pick extremes for everything to make this easier. I could have picked some more middle of the road where you have to make some like bigger judgments, but so 37% got that right. 58 got this one right, and it's pretty much the same question. You compare it, the company's DART is 3 versus industry's 1.6. Their recording is 1-to-1, which is not good, but we kind of use average, but the industry is much better. Company's performing worse. Here, I had sort of the opposite side, and I downloaded the Excel and sorted it so I could find these extreme representations within the NAICS codes. Our company DART is lower by 1/2. Our record-keeping practices are basically are much better, because this is 1-to-10 for industry. Our company's performing better. Here our DART is 2.5, which, okay, it should be the other way. It should be less than. Sorry, that's where I messed up there. Our record keeping's better, so our company's better. We start with the DART, and after that judgment, we look at the record keeping practices. For week 6, I think we had some fantastic guest speakers, especially since I was kind of doing things on the fly because of the weather alerts, the icy roads and everything. So Jake Lowell and Laura Ingleson, they did a great job in my regard. I thought they did a great job demonstrating what they are currently doing at the state of Wisconsin to prioritize, to really identify what needs attention, and then using data to track things over time. And I really appreciate them acknowledging the work that I had done when I was in grad school at DHFS, because it's interesting. I had met Jake several years ago, and I remember Laura. It's kind of funny that, I was doing things because I was having fun with Excel, and I was in grad school, and so I was testing theories and things like that. And it worked, and that's why I teach it in this class, because it worked for me, and it's still, they're still using it, and I'm hearing people all over the U.S., all over the world are using, data and numbers to prioritize, to drive change, and to track things, and that, to me, that makes sense. So that's why I teach it. We had a completely different viewpoint from Dr. Jeschke. I think she did a great job of explaining what she was doing to manage injury cases. However, she was using the language keeping things non-recordable, keeping them off the log. And I know in the class I'm saying we need that data. What she did is she basically demonstrated to us why the BLS numbers are so out of whack. That I think more and more companies are focused so narrowly on keeping the minor stuff off the log that they're ignoring everything else, or they're ignoring the big changes, the real work changes that need to be done, and just trying to deal with it, which is the easiest, and try to just handle pain, just try to get them back to work in not too much pain. It's one way to go, but what did I just read? There was a quote online, and it was by a famous person. I don't know who the quote is, but should we be focusing on trying to get people out of the river, or should we go upstream to find out why they're falling in? I kind of think that we have to go upstream. We need to, sure, we should be taking care of people when they get hurt, most definitely. But I hate that we're so afraid to record it, to get it OSHA recordable. Let's just have an honest discussion about it. And I'm glad she was honest with what she's doing and what companies want, because it just demonstrated, I think, what's really going on in the world. That this is what you're going to have to go up against when you go out and practice. Oh, this is going so long. I apologize. this week. So we've got pre-recorded lectures. I'll show you those in a second. But we've got Jim Jones on Thursday. Do not miss it. He is so good. He really knows Wisconsin work comp. It was better when I taught this class last semester, and it was a 2.5-hour period. He easily filled it. He can just talk about work comp until the chickens go to nest. Is that it? What am I making these weird references? I don't know. But I want to kind of go into some additional tips for the assignment that's coming up. So these are copies from the Canvas page. Under Lecture 13, I've got a link with a page that has all 5 of the lecture videos. I got the time on there too. The 5th one, I would still watch it, though this video right now is meant to replace it because it's more geared towards what we're doing and things we've covered. Make sure you watch all of them. It's just like if we were in lecture. I listened to all of them like, yep, that's what I would have said had we had met face to face. The Module 2 writing assignment is under the Week 7 tab. And if you click on it, it's 2 pages. I've got a basic description here. And the second page is the rubric. And what I want to point out here, because some of you didn't provide any planning documents in your memo and you lost a ton of points, is that 40 points out of 100 are dedicated to breaking down the technical report and creating a planning document for the executive summary. And I think with the way we're able to use technology now, you should be able to do it all electronically. The technical report is in a PDF. You can actually highlight in there. You should be able to copy and paste it into a Word document or combine the PDFs. There's a lot of opportunity out there to make a really good looking single document. The executive summary itself is worth 40 points. So as you can see, it's split there. And then overall grammar, coherence, language, and things like that are another 20. So that's the breakdown for how I'm going to grade it. If you go under Lecture 13, I've got here a copy of the Executive Summary Planning Exercise. So this is something we would have done in class again, but based on the results of the memo, I'm not sure if it really helped much. Still want you to use this document or something similar to it. You can make your own. Here's a technical report that you're going to be reviewing. So you're writing the executive summary for a technical report that was already written based on a study that was already completed. And I've got the Excel document here that shows the results of that study. So 5 years of OSHA log data was analyzed, trended, compared to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then a deeper dive was conducted to try to figure out where should we focus our attention. And that's what's going to be presented to management, giving justification for what could come out of this and what we need to do moving forward. This is an opportunity to improve. We're going to use the data to show this is what's been happening. Basically, if we do nothing different, this is going to continue. And so we're recommending that it's going to be almost the same recommendation as the memo, but it's, engage the workers, study the work, get to know them, find more realistic solutions that are integrated into the work they do that mitigates the exposures to things that could harm them. That's how you prevent things. Or reduce the exposures so that you reduce the numbers. So this is what the report looks like. It's 10 pages. That includes the cover page, so it's 9 pages to read. It's not the greatest, but it's pretty much what you'd see out in industry. Next is a planning document. It's the same one we used. I do something like this. I wanted you to demonstrate how you're systematically going through and creating a story or a narrative to persuade management. That's what this is. Because all honestly, this is really long, I apologize, that what I see a lot of people do, the way they practice is they just sort of regurgitate or say, here's the problem, here's the standard, and I'm training you. No, you're not. You have to go out and assess based on what the standards are and then create a narrative or a story for the individual or for the supervisor so they understand what they need to do. Do you understand? I hope that makes sense. So the report itself is sort of the broad or the macro. It's like, this is everything. And if you put it in front of somebody, they have to read it and you hope they interpret it. What you're doing in the executive summary is reporting what the report presented, what it found, what the study found, but in a way in which the reader is like, oh, this is what we need to do. So you're persuading management. You're writing it to management. The technical report is for anybody else. The executive summary is for the executives. They want in 5 minutes to find out what do we need to do and why. And that's what the executive summary, that's what you're writing. So what do you do? What's expected? By Sunday at midnight, March 6th, you're going to have one single PDF document. There'll be a professional cover page, 2-page executive summary with data tables and figures. I don't want just writing. And then your planning documents. If you want to provide the entire report in which you've scribbled notes and done like that, great. But I also want one clean page or 2 pages of your thought and which tables and figures you're going to use and why you're going to use them and how it creates the message you're giving to management. That's what you're going to submit. Where to start? Review and read the technical report and maybe even look at the Excel work itself. You don't have to do any calculations, but last semester I had some graduate students that took some of the data there and made different tables. And I thought that was fantastic. That's amazing. That's so great. You don't have to do that. You should be able to use the, what do they call that, photo or whatever within PDF to capture the tables and figures you want from the report and just put it into a Word document. Just be really careful on how you adjust it in your document so it doesn't get fuzzy. So it becomes unfocused. I guess that's a better word. Then complete a planning document. I want you to explain to me, I want you to demonstrate to me the thought you're going through, the justification, the assumptions, the message you're trying to get management to do. I want to see a plan for that. And then I want to see it executed in your executive summary. So actually copy and paste the data tables and figures into your planning document so I can see which ones you're thinking about. And you can either storyboard or outline how you're going to do it. That's fine. Make sure you review and edit your executive summary. I want to see no language that includes I, me, we, us, they, them, our. Get rid of it. You may be able to write it in the draft, but then change it. Make it more objective. And then also, after you write it, go back and change any language where you say, as you can see, or we looked at, or the table shows, or as you can see. Get rid of that. Anything that is just like, hey, look at that. No, get rid of it. Actually explain it. A pro tip for you all, try to get this done maybe on Friday. Put it to bed for 24 hours. Pull it out and then reread it when you're not kind of stuck in the mode of it. And reread it, make the corrections, then go ahead and submit it. But try to get rid of this language. These are the things that cause you to be deducted. I provided some examples. I provided a clear example of a planning document. It's up here. I wrote it in red so you can see. Obviously, I didn't provide the tables and figures. I was trying to be simple. So you should be able to do a lot better than what I did here. But the document I provide here, the submission example, I've got the professional cover page. I've got a 2-page executive summary and then the planning document. That's what I want to see, all one document. In addition, I provided some other resources for you. I'm giving you everything you need and more. Well, all kinds of tools, all kinds of resources. There is this executive summary format. You can look at this to get maybe inspired or get some additional ideas. And then if you need any help with writing, the Purdue OWL, which is the online writing lab, provides all kinds of resources as well. Here's an executive summary. This is the process you go through. I'm looking for a process and not just a product. Does that make sense? I want you to demonstrate to me or show me how you go through the process of coming up with the product, and I'll grade both. Not just a product. It's like, where did this come from? And then I gave you 2 papers that you can refer to. There's a reason why we need to move beyond OSHA log data. And I think these 2 papers here, they're very simple reads. One is by Fred Manuel. One is from, I don't know if it's Jan or Jan Wachter. They're with IUP. But I want you can read these to kind of like, is there a message that I could take from these papers and bring into my executive summary as additional support for what I'm trying to get management to do? Again, it's what we need to do and the justification for doing it. And I think these 2 papers will help out. Sorry this went so long. I could have gone a lot longer, but this is more, I'm trying to be a little bit more precise, narrowing to what I want you to do for this assignment to make it easier on you. Because it shouldn't be that difficult, but if you're not used to the sort of the methodology or the cadence of putting some of this together, yeah, it can be confusing. So hopefully you'll get there. Ask me or contact me if you do have any questions.